I bet you didn't know that shark skin is made up of thousands and thousands of tiny little microscopic teeth overlap. And I thought it was so cool that for my 750,000 subscriber mark, I was like, I'm gonna buy myself a pair of shark skin boots, check them out, how do they wear, everything. And then we hit that $100,000 worth of stuff cut in half. And I was like, hey, what do you guys want me to cut? And everyone's like, your nice shark skin boots, your nephew's favorite boots, cut those. And I was like, well, I didn't mean that, but okay. So we're gonna cut these things in half, run them through our test to really answer some of those long-held questions about shark skin. Like, is there any advantages to shark skin? Like, is it more durable, more abrasion resistant, more waterproof, more puncture resistant? What's the cross-section of a fish leather look like compared to a land animal? Is it legal? Is it ethical? And this is the first time we're cutting apart a pair of Sagaras, so we're gonna see what's inside and how they build my favorite boots from Indonesia. And even if you did know shark skin was a bunch of overlapping teeth, I bet you didn't know that shark skin was originally called shagreen. And this term originally didn't even come from shark skin. It came from the Middle East to describe rawhide from horses or camels that was really, really rough. But in the 17th century, Europeans started to import what we now recognize as shagreen, which was either from ray or shark skin from the Middle East. Therefore, in the 18th century, France really caught on with this. They liked that shimmer, they liked the texture of it, they liked the luxurious feel of it. They started making a lot of handmade goods from it, like small decorative items like snuff boxes, book bindings, handles for swords, daggers, bags. And it was prized not just because of its look, but because of its natural grip that it had. And it remained very popular and highly prized all the way up to the 20th century, where it started to get used for more military and sports applications because of its resilience to wear, its grip, its water resistance. And even according to Stridewise's article that we pulled a lot of this information from, it was used as sandpaper. But fast forward to today, shark skin is still used in a lot of luxury items and niche markets, but it also comes along with a lot of conservation concerns due to the decline of shark populations. And now its trade is quite regulated to ensure the sustainability and ethical sourcing of shark skin. So if you want more information on that, go check out Stridewise's video, but we'll try to cover it to some degree, especially the question, is it ethical to order a pair of sharkskin boots? Oh, comfy! I got a little secret to tell you, and it's the fact that I actually really like Uggs, and I would wear them all day, every day if they weren't so freaking ugly. That's why we worked with Goral to make the mugs. Manly Uggs, mugs, and the slugs. I don't think slugs even stands for anything. It just is funny because it's like, oh, slipper Uggs, like slide Uggs. Okay, yeah, that's what it actually is. The reason we did these is because nobody makes like a really high quality natural material shearling line shoe that actually looks like a shoe and not one of these. And we work with Goral out of England to make these because they're one of the top shoemakers in the entire world. They do one thing that nobody else can claim. It's a hidden stitch on the inside that basically builds these like boots rather than sneakers, makes them super durable, long lasting. And this is a super limited drop. There's only gonna be 20 of each color. It comes in black, dark brown, natural, and forest green. They're available now, super limited quantities. Check them out below. Don't be caught dead wearing these or I'll find you. Oh, comfy. So then what are these boots? Well, like I said, the brand is Sagara. The style is the custom pair that I built for myself for that 750,000 subscriber mark. If this video gets no views, I'm gonna be so bummed. They weigh 1 pound, 14 ounces. They retailed for $768. They're made in Indonesia. And I just wanted a nice kind of dress boot and I could take down to the symphony, you know, kind of what I use my Aldens for, but a lot nicer quality. I wanted a pair of black boots, but I like that little pop of color. So now let's start looking at the materials, starting obviously with the shark skin. So what is this leather? Well, it's an Italian shark skin. It's about 1.5 millimeters thick, so about what you see in, you know, dress boots, your casual sneakers, your dress shoes. But ultimately, that's not really the point of thickness, right? But the biggest concern for me is the cross section. I was really interested to see because if you remember the cross section of regular cow leather, it starts really, really tight and slowly gets more and more fibrous, and that's part of why it's so strong, because you have that combination of a really tight fiber structure that can split and crack versus a big coarse hairs. They're vulnerable to being pulled apart, but they're a lot stronger. Versus if you look at the cross section of this, it almost looks like cordovan. It's almost a solid consistency all the way through. You can't see the fibers really with your naked eye, and I believe that's just because it's fish skin. You know, my thought would be it's a fish, it's got to be waterproof, so naturally their skin is going to be a lot tighter fiber structure because they don't want that permeability of any kind. Whereas with cows and horses and other animals, there's going to be some permeability because they sweat, whereas a fish, I assume you don't want salt water getting to the inside of a fish. And so already right off the bat, I'm pretty interested in this and how it's gonna perform with some of the tests, because is it gonna perform more like cordovan where it's really strong and has some really unique features, or is it just not that great because you don't have any of those bigger fibers to structure it? But before we test it, let's look at that top surface to see if there is any of those microscopic teeth in there. Well, we put the macro lens on there and it does look like there is those little overlapping teeth. It definitely has been sanded because it's not that really grippiness of just raw shark skin, because it's almost like sandpaper to the touch, where this, most of those scales have either been sanded down or partially removed. So you still get some of that grip, but it's not abrasive. Because you can definitely tell, like if I take my little Gerber and you just run that edge right along the leather, you can feel it kind of skip along. You can feel it's almost like those 90s 3D posters that as you walk past, they kind of shift. There were a bunch of rows of tiny little ridges that shifted the image. That's how this feels with a knife. Like you can even hear it. Hear how it's like almost squeaky? And you can see that unique shimmer because it almost has like a color shifting. Like if you've ever seen one of those really nice paint jobs that have a shifting color flake in it, that's a little bit how this is. Sometimes you get hues of green, a little bit red, and depending on how the light hits it will change how it looks. And all of that is due to
denticles.
Denticles. I was like, there's no way that's how it said, but they're called denticles. Those little teeny teeth. And you might be wondering, well, how are denticles different than just like normal fish scales? Well, they are different because they're obviously a lot harder. They're made up of essentially the same stuff that makes up teeth. And my question was, well, does every fish have denticles? It's only in cartilaginous fish. And so that's why you see it in stingrays as well. So I just think it's crazy that there is literally millions and millions of tiny little teeth covering the surface of shark skin, that you can still get some of the properties all the way through the tanning and all the way through the boot making process still manifest aesthetically and functionally in the leather, allegedly. So now let's see if it actually manifests functionally in leather by running it through some tests, starting with waterproof. Because you would assume, yeah, it's shark skin, it's gotta be somewhat waterproof, right? Was it the denticles that prevented the waters from seeping through, or is the actual tight fiber structure waterproof? Well, we put it in the waterproof test to test that, and it actually is fully waterproof. You know, there was maybe some water seeping through the thread, but the shark skin leather itself was fully waterproof. And another feature about this we don't really talk about with other leathers is it's super hydrophobic, meaning if you put little droplets of water on it, it just beads up. It doesn't sink into leather like most leathers. But what about the opposite? How does it act under fire? Well, we put the fire to it and it does really, really well. And same thing, it's those really hard denticles that are basically teeth. You're not gonna burn teeth in the same way you're gonna burn flesh, right? And so when it's a leather, a flesh covered in teeth, it acts accordingly. The under leather starts burning and starts melting almost before that top surface does. It's like a weird fire resistant leather too. Fire sharks, maybe real. Who knows? But what about how this performed in the more durability style tests? Well, in the puncture test, it took 58 pounds of punctures through. So not crazy in any way. Like it's not terrible, it's not great, just very average. You know, it's better than sneaker leather, so it seems like it is a little bit stronger. And then we did the abrasion test where we just took 2 strips, one normal leather, one shark skin leather, held it onto the sander with pliers, as much equal pressure as we could, super scientific. We're working on it. Regular leather took 4.17 seconds to abrade all the way through, and the shark skin took 5.67 seconds to abrade through. So not the most scientific, but it does seem like it is a more abrasion resistant leather because of those denticles. So to me, it turns out that shark skin is some pretty cool stuff because it is abrasion resistant. It does have some of those teeth. It does have the water resistant property. It has all these really unique things, but is it ethical? Is this a decent boot? Let's find out. Let's cut it in half and answer the rest of those questions. See this big hide? Now notice how many little cosmetic flaws, little bug bites and brands. This is what we usually cut around. So scratch and dent, we take all those that we cut around and we use the hides that have too many flaws so we can reduce our waste, and it gets you a product 30% off, and it helps us get rid of all this scrap instead of going to landfill. And it's live right now, so check out Scratch and Dent. All right, we got it cut in half, so let's see what's inside. So what's inside? Well, you got a 1.4 millimeter leather lining, pretty decent quality. Now it's a little bit thicker, probably because that shark skin's a little bit thinner. You've got a full length leather insole with a little bit of foam underneath and a patch there for your arch. Steel shake, cork filling, full length leather midsole, one layer of the leather in the heel stack. Even the puncture test, it took 217 pounds to puncture through, 75 Shore A. And they just have that really cool old school look to them. And this is a true Goodyear welt construction, and the actual true Goodyear welt, where it's hand channeled into the insole and then hand sewn together. Instead of doing it on those big Landis machines, they do it all by hand in Indonesia. And you'd think that would be less precise, but you look at this compared to any of the boots that use those big Landis stitchers, and these are way more precise. And really the only component you could point to say that it's not the ultimate quality would be the heel counter. It's just a soft synthetic counter. And the thing is, you could ask them to do leather. And I think they just do this in their more dress boots because it's a little bit softer, a little more slim, a little bit easier to break in. But other than that, this boot is pretty perfect. So are Sagara boots worth the price? Are they really top shelf? To me, they are. You know, there's very few things you could point to improve this at all. And even some of those are stylistic. So to me, pretty well proves these are top shelf. So what are those remaining sharkskin questions we didn't answer? Is it more durable? It seems to be more durable in certain ways, more abrasion resistant, more waterproof, maybe not as puncture resistant. It does have a completely different cross section. It looks a lot more like cordovan than like a normal cow skin or calf skin or any other land animal. And is it legal? Yeah, it is technically legal. You can buy shark skin. There's nothing against it. But is it ethical? Well, to answer that, you kind of have to understand the conservation status spectrum. You know, most brands are going to say they're not going to use critically endangered, or vulnerable species. But right above that, you've got that near threatened. But part of understanding if it's ethical is understanding where it's sourced and where it comes from. And most shark hides come from the meat industry. So it is a byproduct in some ways where they're not actually hunting down sharks solely for their skin. But it doesn't matter if it's a byproduct if it comes from endangered animals, right? So how many of these sharks are endangered? Where does it lie on that spectrum? Well, according to Stridewise, where you got this information from the FAO, of all the different shark species, about 25 are desirable for shark skin or shark leather. And only 2 sharks, the bull shark and the tiger shark, are just in the near threatened section of that spectrum. All the rest of them are either vulnerable, endangered, or critical. So not great, right? But the vast majority of shark skin that you see in most physical products come from the blue shark. And where do they lie on that spectrum? Well, they are near threatened. So is it ethical? Technically, kinda, but it's, you know, it's a gray area. It depends on your personal code of ethics, what you think's ethical. Would you rather have those hides go to waste? Would you rather have them put into leather? It's a very complex thing because it's not just as cut and dry as like, is shark leather illegal? Is it ethical? It's like there's so many different species, there's so many different angles you can look at it, but it is a gray area, you know, and I think it's something that's important to cover in this video because it is a unique material. It does have some unique features. It has some benefits that you can only get from shark skin. I guess that's the atonement, that's the price you pay for not doing your research, is you end up having your audience tell you to cut them in half and you find out that there is a lot of ethical concerns and there is a lot of research you need to do before investing in anything that is even close to that endangered species spectrum. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching this video, and check out our other unique leather videos. We got some like ostrich, some kangaroo. We'll put links to those below, and thank you guys for all your support. See ya. I wanted to give you guys some shark facts, but I'm sick, so I needed the help of my nephew Snacks, aka Shark Snacks, aka Braxton, aka Brax, to give you some shark facts from Snacks.
Yep.
So give it to him, Snacks.
Okay. Sharks have been around longer than dinosaurs. Number 2, sharks don't have bones, which is actually really cool. And number 3 is sharks can replace thousands of teeth in their whole lifetime. And number 4 is the largest shark ever was the great megalodon, which is huge.
Scary.
Yeah. And then number 5 is some sharks can reproduce without males.
What? No dudes? Rude.